biggest thing that I guess has molded me is the mistakes I've made in the past. And I think this goes for everybody. And I can't remember who said this, but it was like, basically the analogy works. It's not as bad when you're winning, basically. You know what I'm saying? All the bad times are kind of gone.
Yeah.
The thing is, so we don't really remember all those great memories, because like I have the majority of my days, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm having a good time. It's those moments that a staff member and I disagreed about something. It's the time that a member and I disagreed about something. And I think about the approach of how did I handle that? And I know in the past, and the membership will tell you, I'm sure too, or like anybody would, I probably wasn't the easiest person to work with in the past, because I had a specific goal set in my mind. And I don't want to say I was more committed, but I was very laser focused on getting that goal at whatever it took. You know what I mean? Now, what I've learned, and I was really young when I was doing that. When I say young, getting into the activity teaching.
Right.
Now, what I've learned from that is that doesn't always work. You know what I mean? And I remember watching an interview of the cadets and April Gilligan when she was teaching at the cadets, and she's back there now, but her first time there. And she said that she was always yelling at the flag line or whatever, but she didn't know what she was yelling because she didn't know what she was supposed to say. She didn't know what she was supposed to be yelling at. Yeah. She was just yelling. And it was great energy and great everything. But so you take that comment and you focus it and say, okay, instead of me yelling, instead of me being degrading, because I'm sure people have heard horror stories of drum corps. I'm fortunate enough that I didn't have to go through those things, you know. But you hear those horror stories and you're like, I don't want to do that. So that's what I've learned the most is, what do I not want to be? Okay, I have great role models in front of me that I've learned taught with, I've learned under, I work with, that I can say, I want to be like those people, or in those moments, I want to be like those people. I got plenty of those moments, just like everybody I'm sure has. It's those specific moments of, I never want to be like that. I never want to act like that. That's what's molded me the most. Now, that's from the instruction side. Now, from like a full color guard, like working color guard full time, and I know there's a lot of people that say like, oh, I do color guard full time. Well, okay, you may do one program. Yes, that is full time. That's your job. That's what you do. But if you add it to 10 groups flying around the country constantly, away from home for 2-3 months at a time, that's not drum corps season. Like that's a tough life. And it's not, trust me, we're not rolling in the dough. Okay. We're not raking in loads of cash, but we're working for it, for whatever we get, obviously. But it's a hard lifestyle. It's a fun lifestyle, and I wouldn't trade it because it gives me an artistic outlet and all that. And that's kind of what's unique about this moment right now is this is my first time not doing drum corps since I did it in 2008. So if you can think about that, that's a long time. I can't even do the math. Okay. Almost 20 something years, it feels like.
But I feel like that goes back to what we were talking about with, you know, we're racking our brains over not having finals, like WGI finals this year, all that work. And we're like, do you mean there's 0 finals? Like, this is not happening? Like, that's our payoff. And so I think that's why this all, like, hurts so bad. And, you know, it's like, that's because, you know, it's a heartfelt, like, hobby that turns into our careers. Mm-hmm. Not a huge paycheck, but we love it so much that we get the payoff in those final moments or those final performances. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, just doing like the little bitty things we could do at the end of that last week on March 11th, I'll never forget that date. You know, like pulling in, you know, just our Tarpon Arts Ensemble, which is our A-Guard, and just being like, guys, I know you can't even fathom this, but this is all over. And it was just heart-wrenching. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to like, because that's our payoff. And we were trying to explain that to them, and that was like the hardest thing to do, is trying to tell these students, like, I don't know, it's crazy.
The good thing is you grieve in that for a little bit, which we all did. If you're in the activity, you understand, because how many people look forward to WGI every year? How many people look forward to their DCI event in their hometown every year? I know people that I've talked to say that's the one thing they look forward to every year.
It's like payday.
So it's like it's almost letting those people down slightly, but from my side of things, it's like, okay, this is the first time I've ever had off, ever, about anything in any kind of season. Yes, it's really sad and weird, and people ask me all the time, how do you feel? And I'm like, well, I don't really ever know that answer, and I don't think anybody's ever going to know that answer. How do you actually feel? Like, oh, it's nice to have a break, sure. Like, I went to the beach a few more times this year. I went outside. Like, I went to dinner a few more times that I wasn't ever used to doing. But the cool thing is how you start thinking, how do you re-energize your energy and, I guess, refocus everything to make the next season great or the best it's ever been. So like Molly can tell you, I have a document on my computer of like potential show ideas that are just like, this could be insane. Now, then I go back and look at it the next day and I'm like, oh, never mind. Let me delete that. No, I don't know what I was thinking. But I have a list of those ideas. That's exciting. You know what I mean? Where I can actually sit and like go on a walk, think about my thoughts. But the same thing on the member side of how can we refocus and re-energize the members? Like for Crossman, we've been doing some like challenges and assignments and video things like
bi-monthly.
Yeah, bi-monthly. Every like the 1st and the 15th, we always meet with each other, check in with each other. How's it going? But we have these things, and they're like fully into it, like 100% participation. It's awesome. You know what I mean? And we have 30-something members contracted for next year just because we had that for this year. You know, and so they're refocusing their energy on how can I make next year better, and that's 12 months down the road. That's a hard thing to do for a 21 to 16-year-old. That's a hard thing to do. So that's something that's super impressive about the group right now, and that excites me to say like, what can we do now that I have 12 months of training instead of 3 months or 1 month, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for training. If I can teach you a specific skill over 12 months, think about the possibilities are endless, you know. But that's the same thing with like designers and everything. The possibilities are endless in my head right now until someone says, no, you can't do that because of financial reasons or whatever. But,
right.
You know, I kind of digress off your question to say like the full-time thing for both of us, yes, it's difficult. And yes, obviously we're sitting next to each other most of the days, like doing this stuff, and we're fighting with each other. But it's always a good fight because it's like, no, change that color. No, do this, because we're fighting for what's going to be best for that group or what's going to be best for that member. And something that's unique, I guess, with Molly and I is she does the look. She does the graphic stuff. She does all that stuff. And I do all the other side. I do the choreography. I do the staging. I do all the in-person with the member stuff. You know what I mean? So what's unique about that is we can discuss that all the time before a product ever gets to a member or a designer or a director or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's something that's unique between us two that I don't see it happens very much anywhere else because they can't. Because there's a 9-to-5 person that's working the graphic thing, or a 9-to-5 person that's doing the drill thing, or a 9-to-5 person that's doing the color grade thing. It's like, well, we can do. I don't want to say we can do it all because we definitely have a lot to learn, but we can do it all, and it's exciting to still be designing shows. It may not come to fruition, or it may come to fruition. Who knows? But it's still at least an artistic outlet for us to get through this moment. So when we do say, okay, the fall is happening, we can keep going with that. We've already planned falls, but when the winter comes, we can start pushing the winter shows in, you know, and that's going to be super exciting. But I you know, it's hard to say, like, for those of the younger people that are looking to do this full time, you just have to be passionate about it. That's all it is. And you can't worry about the money. You can't worry about, do I have enough time, or if I'm going to make a mistake. You're going to make mistakes. You know what I mean? You're going to. But you're going to learn from them. And if you stay passionate about it, you're going to have people that are going to take you in, just like you have, just like I have, just like she has, that will foster us to become what we want to become. And maybe even surprise a few folks and go a little further.